I will call to order the Appearance Review Board meeting on May 5th, 2026. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, we'll do roll call. Chair Grimes. Vice Chair Gill.
Here.
Member Bokum.
Present.
Member Rain. Present. Member Kettle. Here. And we have a new member Kettle with us tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Laura. I live in Longleaf. I'm a realtor with the Posat Group. I have a bachelor's in archaeology with a minor in museum studies. My goal was to be a museum curator, and I actually worked on historic homes and buildings before with preservation, and then designing showpieces in there. So yeah, I have a background in appearances and keeping things how they're supposed to be, preserving artifacts. And then, of course, with real estate, we do resale and new construction. So a lot of new construction properties have restrictions of appearances as well. So I'm very familiar with all of this, and I'm so excited to be a part of the team. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak? I will close the floor. The approval of the minutes from April 7th, 2026. Are there any questions or comments on the minute? Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 7th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now the new business of Tubb Street and Oakland Avenue Overlay District Comprehensive Plan Amendment.
Hello, members of the Appearance Review Board. My name is Katie Magruder. I'm with Dix Height Plus Partners. Here with me is Emily Thomas from Kimley Horn, and I will be presenting to you the vision for transforming Tubb Street into a main street today. Should have asked how this works, but here we go. The project boundary extends one block east and west of South Tubb Street from Colonial Drive at the southern boundary to the West Orange Trail at the north boundary. The core project purpose is to re-envision this corridor as the heart of Oakland, a living room for the town where life unfolds at a human pace. I don't need this, or do you need it for the record? Okay. From a design standpoint, we seek comfort first, widening sidewalks, making sure that there's shade from trees and structures, and shaping the streetscape that invites people to linger and not hurry through it. We imagine a street that nurtures local enterprise with businesses that spill into the public realm, either through sidewalk cafes or maybe sidewalk sales for retail, and then carefully placed plazas and pocket parks that become pauses in the urban form, offering spaces for gathering and celebration and quiet connection. From an infrastructure lens, we see opportunities beneath our feet as well, integrating low impact development and stormwater strategies into the street's infrastructure. Threading through all of this is our deep responsibility to preserve Oakland's charm, not by freezing it in time, but by allowing it to evolve thoughtfully, honoring its scale, character, and story. Before proposing ideas, policies, or design strategies, our team slowed down. We walked the streets, observed the edges and the intersections, and immersed ourselves in the town's patterns and details. We listened and we observed Oakland streets and storefronts, its buildings and public spaces, and the everyday moments that give this town life and rhythm. Through that process, we came to understand what makes town of Oakland a truly desirable place to be. So that understanding now quietly underpins everything we'll share with you today. Our next step was to look outward toward other communities that have successfully preserved their character while evolving thoughtfully over time. We studied places like Bluffton, South Carolina, Serenbe, Georgia, Sanford, Winter Garden, Rosemary Beach, and newer communities like Oakland Park. Communities that have embraced intentional design, human-scaled streets, and architectural continuity that creates timeless downtowns. These are models not to replicate, but lessons to learn from. So each of these places demonstrates how careful attention to the public realm design, building form, and landscape reinforce identity, economic vitality, and create places that feel authentic and long-lasting, enduring, and deeply rooted. So with a clear understanding of Oakland's character and a shared vision shaped by local insight and precedent, this work begins to take physical form. What you're seeing now is a big picture view of the study area where the ideas we've discussed translate into a cohesive framework for the public realm. From this vantage point, it becomes clear that downtown Oakland is composed of a series of distinct blocks and not a single uniform condition. So in response, the study area was organized into character districts. Here you see the Gateway District, Heritage Walk, and the Canopy District. With that structure in mind, we'll now walk through each segment and look at what this looks like block by block. Beginning at the southern edge of the study area is the Gateway District. This is the point of arrival into Oakland from State Road 50. Here, the public realm plays a critical role in not only signifying entry into the town, but slowing down vehicles and setting expectations of what's to come in the downtown. The streetscape enhancements in this district focus on memorable landscape elements and clear wayfinding, including item 5, which we've proposed as entry signage that you'll be able to see, or a gateway feature that you'd be able to see from State Road 50. And it's that indicator to pull you into the town. I'm sorry, I want you guys to see this. Okay, maybe that's better. Okay, this section view is the proposed condition along Tubb Street when you turn in from State Road 50. The design illustrates a shift from the existing pull-in diagonal parking to a consistent parallel parking condition along this block. When you narrow the space that's devoted to car storage, you can increase the space devoted to humans and their activities. So from a planning perspective, the uniform parking treatment establishes cohesion along the main street. It reinforces predictability, safety, and it allows for you to have predictability with how much frontage you're going to have for those businesses to interact with, and keeping that consistent along the corridor. Here we go. Moving north, we want to reinforce a clear sense of arrival at Sadler Avenue, where the surface shifts from asphalt to brick. And architectural columns serve as a visual marker of identity, signalizing that you're coming into a special place. So you have your entrance with the gateway feature from State Road 50, and you're slowing down the cars, and then you have this change in materiality that brings you in closer to the downtown. The treatments along this block continue with on-street parking and wider sidewalks for bicyclists and pedestrians. We also recognize that Oakland is a really major east-west connector. And so we took a look at a proposal that previously came forward to the city. It's at the southwest corner of Oakland and Tubb Street, and we re-envisioned it a little bit. So we removed the curb cuts that they had along Tubb Street because they were really kind of piercing through the streetscape. You like to keep consistency along the streetscape and require that those access points are on the side streets or the back so that you don't have those pedestrian conflict points within the streetscape. We also saved a large oak tree, number 7, that's highlighted on this plan, and then relocated the plaza that they had programmed to go around this tree. So you're providing shade, this active corner that inherently just slows cars down at that intersection anyway. And so looking at that a little bit closer, this is the view looking north down Tubb Street between Hull and Oakland Avenue. And you'll notice the Prairie Coffee House on the left to orient you. And then just a little bit further up, you can see the intersection design incorporates traffic calming strategies to slow vehicles while introducing visually appealing floral elements that enhance the public realm. And together with subtle branding features, this really signalizes your transition into the cultural center of downtown, leading us to the Canopy District. So this segment builds on materials and character that already exists today. This proposal extends that brick treatment continuously for the full block length, and it reinforces its historical identity. The design also acknowledges future opportunities. Across the roundabout from the existing town hall, we see potential for a new large commercial or civic development, assisting in anchoring this town center. When I say large, I mean like 2 stories. So the materiality becomes a clear organizing strategy as you move through the street into downtown. The first block's programmed with asphalt and concrete. The second block transitions to a mix of concrete and brick. And then this central block is envisioned as all brick with integrated landscaping, marking it as the real focal point. So the proposed hardscape palette draws from materials that are authentic to Florida's history, including tabby shell and concrete, crushed coquina, red brick, cut stone. These all reinforce the sense of place rooted in local craft, durability, regional character. And then a quintessential landscaping palette focused on oak and palm canopy with naturalized ground level plantings. Oakland's inherent charm and historic character are already very evident, providing strong bones upon which to build a true destination, one that fosters daily community life for residents while maintaining and creating memorable experience that invites visitors to return again and again. So now we move from the vision to action, from design imagery to implementation. So the next step in our role was to translate these ideas into policy by amending the Tubb Street and Oakland Avenue overlay within the comprehensive plan. So this overlay will establish enacting policies to guide future development and public investment. It includes expanding permitted uses, promoting active ground floors, and allowing greater density and intensity than is allowed by the current future land use district. Incentive tools like density bonuses offer developers options for development enhancements that align with this vision in exchange for additional units or commercial square footage. And we'll go over those options here in a little bit. The existing overlay identifies 3 separate nodes, which are proposed to be replaced with a unified Main Street sub area of the overlay. So in the map that you see, the 3 nodes have been removed because they were within this study area. And so it would be replaced by this Main Street sub overlay. This new sub-area focuses policies around historic character, small charm, improved streetscaping, neighborhood-oriented businesses, urban design and architectural standards, and enhanced connectivity and walkability, everything that we just showed you. So who would be required to participate in this overlay? So all the properties that you see in a solid color would be required to do this overlay upon major renovations or redevelopment or new construction. The properties can exist how they are today with no requirements to come up to any codes unless they're going through some sort of major redevelopment. All the properties that you'd see in the striped color are opt-in. So they can choose to be a part of the overlay and opt into the standards, or they can develop under their existing entitlements in the land development code and the comp plan as they are today. And we've focused the required properties along Tubb Street and Oakland Avenue. So those are any property that touches either of those streets from the front would be required to opt in, or would be required to do the standards. Sorry. So the Main Street sub-area will further implement the vision by establishing clear maximum densities and intensities. They're tailored to each character district, ensuring future development respects the desired scale, context, and small town feel while supporting appropriate growth. And so getting back to those developer options. So vertically mixed use development could help tap into getting a density or intensity bonus. Any sort of sustainable development certification, like a LEED certified building, infrastructure improvements, workforce housing, or an enhancement that's not otherwise required by this code. So for example, that plaza that we had shown as an option for the corner of Tubb Street and Oakland Avenue, that could potentially help that developer get some additional units because that's such a great public. This could be a park, a plaza, public art, or even public parking. So on-street parking or having parking available to the public on your site. Well, I did want to remind in the comprehensive plan packet that you received, there has been one change from the language in that document. And originally we had referenced undergrounding utilities as a qualifying investment for development incentives. And based on some recent discussions with city staff, this language has been broadened to include infrastructure improvements more generally. So for example, if a developer wanted to fund a master stormwater pond that future developments could tap into, that could be something that helps you get closer to your maximum density allowance. So any application for development that would come forward within this area would follow this application procedure. So this board would review any of those development proposals. And this is just a reminder of what the request is before you today. So staff recommends that the Appearance Review Board approves the Tubb Street Overlay District Comprehensive Plan Amendment. And the next steps for this amendment would be to go to P&Z for a transmittal hearing, then Town Commission for a transmittal hearing, and then it is actually transmitted to the state. And then once the comprehensive plan amendment is transmitted to the state, you'll see me back here again, and we'll do a follow-up presentation with more granular details about the standards that would go into the land development code. And so that will address the actual street design, the frontage, setbacks, materials, and development character along. And so I'm here for any questions if you all have them.
So this is my first time on the review board, so I do have maybe questions for you guys as well. But as far as going vertical, do we have a limit in the town on how high?
There is, and without knowing the specific, there's design districts. Is generally height. But yeah, there are. I think for residential, generally 35. Commercial, I don't know.
Okay.
You guys, I'm sorry, we weren't picking that up on the recording on the audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Do I need to repeat it?
It'd probably be useful for the record just to very briefly mention what you just said.
The design districts have height requirements ranging anywhere from 35, I think up to 40, but I don't know off the top. my head what those are.
Okay.
With relation to this specific overlay, there are some height requirements including, and they would be raising the height in this area. So for the canopy district, it would be 2 stories. For the Heritage Walk, it would be 3 stories, and for Gateway, it would be 5 stories.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering in the circle part over here by the fountain, I saw some like commercial suggestions and I just was concerned, oh, like an 8-story something or others coming in, you know. Also wondering about parking, because if we're eliminating some of those angled parking spots, I guess maybe that's something that's not directly on Tubb Street, so it may not be a concern of this, but where would we navigate that parking to?
So there'll be more on-street parking all
Okay.
the way down Tubb Street. So we're not removing
Okay.
parking spaces in totality. It's
Okay.
just that singular block will have to be accommodated elsewhere. But right now, there's not even sidewalks on Tubb Streets
Right.
for portions of it. So this would be adding sidewalks and then on-street parking all the way down to Colonial.
Okay. And then go over again about the existing buildings don't have to do this unless they're doing a renovation.
Yes.
Oh.
So unless there's usually it's called like a substantial improvement or enlargement in a land development code. So unless that threshold is tripped, and it's usually a dollar amount related to the value of the building, unless that threshold is tripped, none of this would kick in.
Okay.
You could opt in.
Yeah.
But none of this would be required for you to you don't have to change anything about your building tomorrow. It's only if you're going through a major renovation that you would have to come into compliance.
Okay. Okay. And then maybe again, a question for you guys. What is that building on the northeast corner of Tubb and Oakland Avenue? What is that? I don't know what that is.
Brick
I'm
one?
sorry. It's like a broken down garage.
Oh,
What is that? Is that something that can be opted in to change? Or who owns that? Does the town own it?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
It's a private owner that owns almost all those buildings in that block
Okay.
and rents them out.
if adopted and that property is redeveloped, it would be required
Okay. Okay.
to meet
thank
the
you.
overlay standard.
Oh, I had no idea what it was. I thought we just kept lawnmowers in it or something. I didn't know. Thank you.
For sure.
May I ask a question about the Heritage District vision? On there, there's a note surrounding a proposed trail connection. I would assume that any of this, the goal would be to get people either off the trail or on the trail. So I was curious to see, I see it noted, but would like clarification on what that would look like.
Can I come look at what you're looking at?
Yeah. You mean you can't read my mind?
Okay, so Sadler Avenue has a funky amount of town-owned property before private property that's an extension of the right-of-way there, and it's kind of a wide green space. And so in our framework, larger discussion about how the improvements along Tubb Street can make connections to the rest of the great things that are going on in Oakland, we explored that as a possibility to expand a trail and have kind of like an urban forest next to it because there's quite a bit of room there. So we did not get to like a schematic plan for that or anything, but just thought for the future it would be a really cool park or trail connection.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. I
Yeah.
have a store in downtown Winter Garden, so I'm want to first off just applaud. This looks beautiful, and I think overall, like my questions are very minimal.
Yeah.
But I just know how many people, at least in that vicinity, come on and off the trail.
Oh yeah.
And so just was curious what that would look like. I think I have another question, but I can't recall it right now. So thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think your presentation and I think it's beautiful. I do agree though, like bringing up the trail, you know, like maybe you could think about connecting the trail more to like the central area. Because it is like a big um, town center, like the bike trail.
So I'm realizing maybe I didn't cover this in the presentation and I meant to. So in each of these sections, you'll see that along this, okay, north, east, along the western portion of Tubb Street, that entire length of Tubb Street will be an extension of the trail. So we have a wide sidewalk on the east side and a 12-foot trail on the west side.
Extension of the bike trail.
Well, I mean, it's yeah, it will reach West Orange Trail. So it won't be like designated as an extension of West Orange Trail, but it will be a trail that connects to West Orange Trail.
So let me add on that real quick. So we actually have grant funds to develop Sadler Avenue Trail. So it will come from Longleaf all the way down Sadler and then connect with the new sidewalks that are going in, with the intent is to reroute back to the West Orange Trail. So we'll have golf cart access also alongside that so that people will be able to get from the Longleaf area over, all the way over and then access the rest of our golf cart trails along with the pedestrians. Because if you know Longleaf, it has a loop around it that people can ride their bikes or they can walk around there that we required them to put in when they were developing, that now we want to tie in so that you can come off the trail onto Santa Barilla, come around Longleaf. I'm sorry, I know this is a tough topic for Longleaf. We don't want more people in our neighborhood, but that was the whole purpose. And then tie into this and then get back up to the West Orange Trail. So it's almost like a loop off of it to give people, and we were able to get funding from Healthy West Orange to be able to do a lot of that.
And what's great about that is it sends more bicycle traffic back up Tubb Street past these businesses, hopefully generating some more business as they're on the way to the trail.
Thank you. That was one of my questions about golf cart access. I know that's been a large topic within the town. I think a secondary call out similar to your call out earlier is regarding this specific roundabout area. And whether or not the current plan allows for two-story buildings, and then kind of what the historic plan would be for the existing buildings and what is or is not protected, I suppose.
So nothing is actually considered historic. They're not on registries of any type, right? So the existing structures right now, the plan is for them to remain as they are, with maybe some improvements in the future. But I mean, we won't allow anything that's higher than a two-story building. And then we are working, just to ease your mind a little bit, on trying to look where other parking potential is, because we understand if you add more buildings into town center, the parking already can get tight, especially on weekends and things like that. So we're working on some other things that we'll probably be able to talk about in the future when we know for sure those are going to happen, to try to add some additional parking.
Understanding that height is also something that's really sensitive here, I just wanted to point out like a technicality that we've actually put the heights in the comprehensive plan, which is not a normal thing that I've seen. And that actually protects the heights even more, because if somebody wanted to go higher than that, they'd have to come and amend the comprehensive plan, which is quite arduous process. So those would be locked in through the comprehensive plan. So nobody, even if you're getting more units, you wouldn't be able to go higher or anything.
Thank you for doing that. My one final call out is regarding landscaping, because that's my area of expertise. If there's a way that we could look towards some Florida natives and things like that, I think it would behoove everyone in the long run.
I am here representing Dick's Height Plus Partners, who is a landscape architecture firm who is very excited to hear you say that. So we are like-minded and hope that the city does the same.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I have one more question. So like around the roundabout now are homes, but is the intention to make the zoning commercial and basically gradually change the area into all commercial buildings, or would it still stay residential? Or I guess my question is, all along Tubb Street, is the intention for it to all be commercial, or are some of the areas going to be preserved as residential? Like, do some of those homes stay?
So properties that front on Tubb Street, our preference is mixed use. We want both. We want active commercial ground floors because that's how you have a thriving streetscape. You have people moving in and out of buildings. You have opportunities to learn, play, spend money, spend time, commune with your neighbors, and then residential on top of that. So that's the goal for the properties that front Tubb Street. Now the properties just adjacent to that one back can remain residential in character or opt into the overlay and have a mix of office, commercial, small scale mixed use.
I would like to add on to that question, because at one point it said they're required.
Can you,
And Oakland Avenue, they're required to follow this. So do these people have to sell? Are they going to be required to sell? Are they going to be required to be a business, or can they stay a residence?
they can stay a resident.
Okay.
They can sell their house just as is. If somebody knocks the house down,
But
they'll
as
be
long as the
required to come
owners
into
feel
compliance.
They want to sell it, they can stay residential if they want.
Yes.
So, let me ask, I got one question. Are we passing a motion for just what we heard today or everything that we read in the agenda packet? Because there was a lot in the agenda packet
So
that we didn't touch on.
So this is a really high level presentation of the comprehensive plan packet that you received. I was not going to go through that item by item, but if you have questions about that, I can answer them here. But your approval today would be of that document itself.
The whole agenda packet that we got.
Yes.
Okay, because I got some issues about things that were taken out, about the Florida vernacular, so all up Tubb Street and on Oakland Avenue, you're asking us to approve not keeping Florida vernacular, small town Oakland.
That was not the intent. We may have removed that word from the comprehensive plan, but there has been language added that also is respectful of the small town charm and historic character.
Yes.
Yes.
Then you have to adhere to it. So I guess down the road, we can say yes or no to what is presented to us.
Correct. So when I come back with the land development code, that will be where you'll see the architectural standards that we have.
Okay. And the height requirements, 3 stories is pretty high. But the 5 stories from Sadler to 50, I can't see that.
So
5
let's
stories is no town around here has 5 stories. Winter Garden downtown doesn't even have anything over 3 stories. I can't see Little Oakland having a 5-story building.
I can along Colonial Drive.
Okay, maybe on Colonial Drive. But
And so
not from,
remember that
not from-
gateway goes all the way down to Colonial. So what I'd like to point out here, and this is just like a planning theory that I want to talk through out loud, and that is when you cross over Sadler here, this is a well-established gas station, right? Like nothing's happened in here for a very long time, right? And then we've got this property here. There's no way that you can fit 5 stories here. It's too small of a property, right? Same with this one here, and same with these residences that are very well protected. So where I see that 5 stories happening is here. If you'd like, I can take that back to staff, and we can massage that language a little bit to make sure that there's protection for the properties that are right along Sadler. I agree with you that 5 stories may not be appropriate right here fronting on Sadler. Just the way that the properties are configured, that's basically impossible.
If that was in the language, it would make me feel a lot better. And I'm sure a lot of people in Oakland would not like to see even a 4-story building on Hub Street itself.
Okay,
On-
I can take
on
that back to
Colo-
staff
on
and work on
Colonial
that with them.
Drive? Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I'll certainly take that feedback back to staff.
I'd like to then see what perhaps the other facade would look like if the front of Oakland Ave was 5 stories, then how it would come down, or not Oakland Ave. If 50 was 5 stories, and then as the facade came down Oakland Ave, if it was separate properties, or if we talking about one large property, how that would play out. The building that we're in Winter Garden was a huge discussion point, just for everyone's context. And I think it's the tallest building in Winter Garden that was allowed, the one that's what I was trying to think. I think it is 4. 3. The first story, and which is all commercial,
Three.
and then you think?
I'm in your building too with the Posat group.
Okay. I'm just using it as context because it's one of the larger, newer buildings in downtown Winter Garden. Yeah, I tend to agree with you all that it just opens some opportunity. But I personally don't have a problem with it being State Road 50 being that tall, but
It's tricky because you have to connect state.
then, yeah.
Then we're saying like right down the street, it would be this walkable downtown area. So like, how do you transition between the two?
Yeah, I think that's my curiosity. Like,
There are very walkable places with 5
Yes.
stories.
no, I
The 5 stories doesn't affect the walkability.
think it does then affect the parking though.
Sure, definitely.
And just what that looks like. It's not so much a facade concern to me. It's more of although that's a contributor, it's the people in those 5 stories and where they park.
They're gonna-
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my guess is it would be surface parked. The standards are written such that the building would need to be pulled up to the street on Colonial with parking in the rear, so you won't see that surface parking lot. And that's how it would be accommodated. And of course, the building is limited in height by how many parking spaces it can fit.
A question about your, I guess, slide 21 or page 21, right
Okay.
where where Tub Street becomes a brick road?
Uh-huh.
And you've got the arch. Is that an arch? The identity marker columns, is that an arch going over the road? That's like says Oakland? 'Cause that's what it looks like.
It's actually 2 monuments, separate monuments.
Yes, they're columns. White brick
Because-
columns.
On the picture, it just looks like I mean, I think it would be great having Oakland and you're driving to Oakland, but that's what
We talked a lot about that actually, but because Oakland Avenue is such a east-west connector, especially for like the Briley Farms projects, and there's so many construction vehicles that are moving through there. We talked about how those would potentially be damaged in the short term. But I agree that a gateway feature like that would be incredibly impactful at that location.
I think any welcoming signage, there's a
Yeah.
large opportunity. Or my other question, and perhaps this is a question for you, Elise, in the town. Obviously, this portion of the plan includes a lot of sidewalk opportunities, right? But there's a lot of the town that does not have safe walkability. Is that something that we then consider at the same time of this? Like how does that all play out, especially along Oakland Ave, I guess is my question.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a start, right? This is just a streetscape for here. We have bigger issues in town, I mean, that we need to address as well, but they will not be addressed as part of this. I mean, obviously, we continue to look for grant funds to see how we can make sidewalks on Oakland Avenue, especially to get the kids to school, right? So right now, like we have an East Oakland Avenue sidewalk project that we're working on that was partially developer funded that will be able to get people from Oakland Park to Winter's Landing to be able to cross the street safely to get to the school. So as we're finding funding, we're trying to, I mean, unfortunately, we have such a small budget. We're having to piecemeal a little bit. And I mean, we'd love to do this whole project as a whole, but we're going to try to get the developers to pay for a portion of it. And then as funds are available, do other parts of it. So, I mean, unfortunately, we can't do it all.
No, I appreciate the transparency. As we just have more traffic, that was a thought of mine.
Yeah, it's an issue.
I do have another concern. I know I'm kind of beating this 5-story thing, but I attended quite a few town commission meetings. And when the 4th Street project was being proposed and the town like erupted because we were going to have another 4-story apartment complex and it was going to be close to Highway 50. So that was pushed way back to the back of the property. If we say yes to a 5-story building right on Colonial, I don't think it'll even pass the town commission meeting because a lot of people will probably have a lot to say.
Being individually, each project would still have to come
Yes.
before
Here.
the board, and then before P and Z.
But we're the first ones to say, yes, we're okay with it.
Yeah.
But we're not saying
We're
that.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with
I'm not okay with that either. Yeah. I have a question about the Grove, the shopping district portion. What is that max height for that? Do we know if that's 2 or 3 stories?
So that was retail with 2 floors. I don't know what the actual height was, but that's 2 floors of residential above the commercial.
Okay. So essentially
So 3
stories.
stories. Yeah.
So would it make sense to coincide with that so it looks uniform?
Well, I mean, you have to keep in mind that now is for sale. So we don't know if that's even going to get developed, right?
Oh, it's for sale?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the intent was, to try to develop what's left. I mean, we have just 50 left to really develop. So what does that look like? I mean, if you guys want to recommend it as 4 stories max, then, you can say that and we can move that forward with that recommendation. That's, I mean, a valid concern.
Yeah.
I would say that a transition is pretty necessary between Sadler and 50. So I would like to see it be 4 rather than 3, keeping that consistency. I mean, the character on Colonial is so drastically different from standing at the corner of Sadler and Tubb that it makes more sense to have the height in that location.
Okay.
And again, I mean, Katie made a very valid point where you have to have enough parking for your building. If you look at these parcels, even if they're redeveloped, the gas station, the one next door, across from Dry Right, you're going to be limited by how high you can go, how dense you can be, just based on they're not going to have to, the streetscape parking that is as available as further up Tubb, right? So they'll be limited already by that.
Can you clarify, because we're talking a lot about walkability and like slowing down the traffic to get to this square area. So like, how do you plan on doing that? Are we changing speed limit or like, what is the plan to slow down the traffic?
Sorry, you looked like you were about to answer. Do you want to? Okay. So part of it is just the surface of the roadway being brick. That's immediately going to slow down cars, right? And then we have street trees that would go in adjacent to the right of way. So that visual friction automatically slows you down. It's psychological. Then you have things like bulb outs. So like where you pointed out the 2 columns that are number 9, do you see how where the on-street parking ends, the curb moves inward? I can point it out if you'd like, but you can see that the curbs actually move inward and it narrows the street. That's another means of traffic calming. You're creating a safer distance for pedestrians to cross by moving the curbs inward. So those types of things. The number 4 up there is a chicane median that has an opportunity for a branding element and column or some florals, something beautiful to invite you in. That median will certainly slow down traffic as you're entering into the Canopy District. Those are just some of them off the top of my head. Then obviously on-street parking. So if you're driving down a Winter Garden or a Park Avenue, you're moving slower because you're watching for people backing in and out, pulling in and out. All of those things are traffic calming.
Design and I do feel the need to say though, like the 4-way stop that's on Tubb Street and Oakland Avenue, it does have a lot of traffic and it gets backed up at like 5 o'clock or when school's over. So is there a plan in this to kind of control the traffic at the 4-way stop or make it better because it's only going to get worse, you know? Is there going to be a street light there?
We didn't contemplate that. We're not traffic engineers. So this was merely an aesthetic look at the street. So was not contemplated as part of this. And we don't anticipate, I could see something like that happening when a multifamily or new development comes in and now all of a sudden there's enough residents there that trip a transportation threshold of needing a signal there. Off the bat, there's nothing that's going to trip that requirement. But new development along this corridor could trip that in the future.
Question about Hull Avenue on that same screen right there.
Sure.
Was there ever an intent or a desire to extend Hull eastward? Because on the original town plat, I mean, it's in there, but there's never been a road there.
So
Is there a way, are we ever going to consider that? Is that never going to happen?
I don't feel,
Is that property?
well, they own, yeah, most of it. I mean, we have an easement that goes that way, but I don't think it's wide enough to actually extend the road fully all the way through.
Do that, extend it to, the street does happen
Further over, yes.
through the field.
Yeah.
But it'll most likely never be,
I have not heard any of those discussions.
that would be going into the businesses from Second Avenue and such.
you know, if that property were to come in for redevelopment, that would be something that I think it'd be really cool of staff to bring up in a pre-application meeting to say, like, here is this opportunity. We already have this easement. It sounds like nobody can build on top of that easement, but maybe that they could do something raised over that easement and allow a pass through to get to the road behind it. So I think that could be implemented on a project basis if that developer is open to it.
I have a question about the districts. I like that you called them the Gateway, the Heritage, and the Canopy. I think that's really unique. Are we implementing that at all, or is it just like for us to understand the different areas? Because I think it'd be cool to implement that in the town.
I think it was an attempt to give some identity to each of these blocks, right? So like each one should have a little bit of their own character.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of integrating it into some of the branding for the town.
Yeah, I agree. So again, after say we approve this, well, I guess we're going to have some suggestions about the height. But looking in the future, after we approve this, then it'll go down to individual things that we have to approve, right?
Yes. So
Right.
as Elise mentioned, this is not like a capital improvement project that's already funded. So part of the goal here is to kind of lay the foundation so that each property doesn't have to go through a rezoning, and that you
Yes.
actually create the vision for continuity along this corridor.
Okay.
And so as developers come in, you'll be able to review development plan by development plan as opposed to like an 8-month rezoning future land use process where like each developer ends up working with the city on an individualized development. Here, the standards are written and you just move forward with a development plan and you all then have the ability to review each of those.
Great. I mean, I think this was a great presentation. We had some great questions too.
I agree. Great questions.
Do members have any other questions or comments?
Oh, I have one more question actually. For the residential upstairs portion, how does the town feel about making sure that's condo residences instead of apartments? Like, is there a way to make sure? Like, I remember when the Oakland Avenue ones were coming on and everyone was upset that it was apartments. We didn't want a transient lifestyle here. I'm trying to limit that. So is there a way, is that still something everybody cares about? Making sure, like if it's apartments or condos, something you own versus rent? Not everybody at
There's a
once.
way to
Did someone say they were tagging me in?
Wade, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Um, yeah, regulating the form of ownership effectively of multifamily tends to be something that's very problematic under Florida law. Keep in mind what you're really getting at is that it's got to be owner occupied. Um, and there are a number of problems with implementing that under Florida law. Because even if that multifamily residential were set up as condominium units, you may end up still with them being rented. Generally, we have restrictions under Florida law on restricting both shorter term rentals or what we call vacation rentals and longer term rentals. This is primarily to these aren't really affordable housing in that sense, but it's to provide more housing options for folks. So the general advice I would give you is that's not really something we can regulate at a land development regulation or comp plan level. It does end up being part of the conversation when a particular project comes through, but putting it in our rules would be problematic.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak on this item? I will close the floor. Do any members have any further comments? Can I have a motion?
I will make a motion. I will make a motion to approve the Substreet Oakland Avenue Overlay District Comprehensive Plan Amendment with the change to change the verbiage on Gateway Objective 3.8 to reflect maximum 3-story on Tub Street and to allow 4-story max on State Road 50, and to put the Florida vernacular back into the design of the buildings and try to stay as close to that as possible.
Will you note that policy number
Oh, what-
that you're referencing for the Florida vernacular? Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I hit the one that you wanted to be changed.
Objective 3.6 in the Canopy District that was the Florida vernacular part was crossed out.
Thank you so much. We'll address that.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned at 7:23 p.m.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night, everyone.